most people in the world need a bull market in order to make a lot of money. Most people need a market where things are essentially going up all the time. I told you that in my view, stocks are going to be like this at best for another 10 years or so. If you want to make money in this period of time, as far as I'm concerned, the place to do that is in raw materials or natural resources or commodities, call them what you will. I try to tell people about commodities. Most people still don't understand commodities. Most people still cannot spell commodities. Most people have no clue about commodities at all. But if you go back and look at history, you will find that whenever we've had periods of forced liquidation, like we are having now, and by the way, a period like what we're having now has only happened 8 or 9 times in the past 100, 150 years. The fact that it is a historic period, of course, does not make it any more fun at all. But we are living in a very historic time because you haven't had periods like this very often at all, where people have to sell everything with no regard to the fundamentals. The way you make money historically in periods like this is you find the thing where the fundamentals are unimpaired, and that's what you buy. Now, the fundamentals of General Motors are impaired. The fundamentals of Citibank are impaired. The fundamentals of most industries in the world are very impaired by what has happened and what is happening. The only thing that I know where the fundamentals are not impaired and where the fundamentals are in fact enhanced are commodities coming out of this. Things are so bad right now that some farmers cannot get loans for fertilizer. Nobody can go loan to open a new mine. You have mines closing. You have farmers suffering. So the fundamentals for commodities are actually getting better because the supply is under terrible pressure at a time when the world is going to continue to eat and do everything else. So in my view, the best place to be invested now, well, I told you what I've been buying. I've been buying China, I've been buying the yen, and I've been buying commodities. Now, commodities have been in a bull market since 1998, 1999. The bull market was caused by supply and demand being terribly out of balance. In the 80s and 90s, there was very little money invested in productive capacity for any commodity. If you think about all the great oil fields in the world, they were all discovered more than 40 years ago. The UK has been exporting oil for 26 or 27 years. Within the decade, the UK is going to be importing oil. By the way, the West, I told you before that the US is in serious trouble. The UK is in worse trouble. The UK really has nothing to sell. Once the North Sea oil dries up, the UK is going to be in much, much worse shape. The pound sterling, the old low on the pound sterling was $1, 1 to the US dollar back in the 1970s. It's going to go below that this time because the UK has nothing. This grieves me, by the way. I went to university in the UK. I got married in the UK. I've done a lot of things in the UK, but it's even in worse shape than the US. The International Energy Agency recently came out with a study that showed that the world's oil reserves are declining at the rate of 6.7% a year, even after discoveries. You can do the arithmetic. In 15 years, there's not going to be any oil at any price unless something very dramatic changes. Say they're wrong. Say it's 20 years. Say the reserves are declining at the rate of 5% or 4% a year. You pick the number. The facts are all the oil reserves in the world are in serious decline. This is true of nearly every commodity. You're going to see huge supply problems. The world's inventories of food are the lowest they've been in over 50 years. We have a shortage of fertilizer. We have a shortage of tractors. We have a shortage of farmers now. Most of the farmers in the world are old men because farming has been such a horrible business for 30 years. You can go to Japan and you will see many parts of Japan where the fields are just empty because there's nobody to farm those fields anymore. Things are so bad in Japan. Now, you all know that the Japanese don't like foreigners, and they really don't like Chinese foreigners. Things are so bad in Japan that they have started bringing in Chinese farmers to farm those fields because there's nobody left to farm the fields. So one of the great industries of the future is going to be agriculture, whether it's in Japan or anywhere in Asia. There are going to be magnificent fortunes made in agriculture and in agricultural products. The world is facing a period where, once again, where the people who produce real things, farmers, miners, lumberjacks, oil men, are going to be the people who are making the money, not the people in the City of London, not the people on Wall Street. We've had periodic times in history when the world has changed, where the power has been with the producers, periods when it's been with the paper changers. Well, it's going to leave the money is going to leave New York and London and the era of paper changers to the people who produce real goods going forward. If any of you have MBAs, I would urge you to rush down and see if you can exchange it for an agricultural degree. Right now, you could probably make the swap because farmers, all those guys on Wall Street have been driving around in Maseratis. They're going to have to learn how to drive taxis. And the smart ones will learn how to drive tractors, because in the next 20 years, it's going to be the farmers who are going to drive the Maseratis, and the others are going to be driving taxis and tractors.